So we're taking a deep dive into innovation today.
Which is always exciting. I feel like everyone loves to think about like
Yeah.
those light bulb moments, those big inventions, but
Right.
it's really a much bigger,
It's a process.
it is a process, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really a way of thinking and doing
Absolutely.
that applies to so many areas of life, not just like
Totally.
coming up with the next gadget or whatever.
So,
And we've got some cool sources to dig into today. We've got a TED Talk by Joi Ito.
oh, nice.
Have you heard of him?
Yes. He's incredible.
He's the head of the MIT Media Lab.
Yeah. Super interesting guy.
So like already, the guy's got some
Yeah. He's got some.
serious innovation cred,
Oh,
right?
sure.
And some business research too. So we'll
I'm
be,
torn to it.
but I think, a lot of times when we think about the future, we think,
Uh-huh.
flying cars and all that kind of stuff, which is fun.
Yeah.
But Joi Ito really kind of challenges that,
It's true.
that whole idea.
He does. He really brings it back to the present moment in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Which is so important, I think, because you can get kind of lost in,
That's true.
future tripping. And
Yeah, totally.
and he really grounds us in the now.
Yes. He's all about that nowist.
The nowist,
That's
yes.
his mindset, right.
Exactly. And I think that's what's so refreshing about his work.
So for people who are like, okay, nowist, what is that?
Yeah.
Break it down for us. What is a nowist?
So nowist, it's really about, I think, shifting our focus from trying to predict the future
Okay.
to like actively shaping it,
Mhm.
Yeah. Like there was that one line in his talk that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
He said, the future is happening everywhere. It's just not evenly distributed.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like this idea that like, we don't have to wait for the
Mhm.
future to happen. It's already happening all around us, right?
It's true. It's true.
And it's like, how can we tap into that?
But that's how do we get ahead of it, right?
Exactly.
Right. Even just like see it, right?
Right. Because it's easy to miss
Yeah.
if you're not paying attention.
Yeah. And I think that's so relevant, especially now. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like this has always been true, probably, but
Yeah.
the pace of change is just like
It's accelerating.
accelerating. Yeah. And I feel like just in the last few years, it's like exponential even.
Oh, totally. And technology is the big part of that.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it.
Oh my gosh.
AI, biotechnology, renewable energy, like it's
mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing. And then on top of that, you have the
Yeah.
business world, which is just as crazy, right?
I know it.
Like new companies are popping up every day
Right.
and disrupting entire industries.
And industries that have been around for decades, It's like, whoa.
Exactly. So like in this environment, clinging to like a rigid 5-year plan,
Right.
it's not going to cut it.
Yeah, you got to be ready to like
You got to be agile.
adapt,
Yes.
like on the fly practically.
Exactly. And that's where I
That's
think
where I think
this idea of being a nowist.
well, nowist comes in.
Because it's like, okay, but how do we actually do that?
Right.
Like how do we innovate
Yeah, how do
in
they
this kind of environment?
in this constantly changing world, yeah.
Is it just about being like super flexible or like what is it?
It's more than just being flexible. I think it's about action,
Okay.
It's about experimenting, it's about building even if you don't have all the answers up front.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
Okay, so you're saying like don't wait till you have it all figured out.
Exactly. Just start
doing
something. Yeah.
Yeah, because you learn so much more by doing than by just thinking about it.
So this is where I think Joi Ito's emphasis on action really comes in. He's like, get out of your head, stop just brainstorming ideas.
Yes, get out of your head.
And just build something, test it out, iterate on it.
Exactly. And, and then the business research we were looking at
Oh, yeah, right?
really backs this up.
Okay, how so?
Well, it talks about how the companies that are really prioritizing research and development,
Yeah.
they're not just like theorizing about innovation.
Right.
They're actually creating it,
They're putting in the work. They're putting
Exactly. They're putting in the work.
the resources.
Yes, and it's paying off for them.
And they're not afraid to. Like, try
Exactly.
things and see what happens.
And what's interesting? There was this one statistic that really jumped out at me
Okay, hit me with it.
from the research. It said that businesses that are like top tier in terms of R&D spending,
Yeah.
they actually experience revenue growth that's 4.5 times faster
Oh, whoa.
than businesses that don't prioritize it.
4.5 times?
4.5 times, yeah.
That's not just like a small difference. That's
No, it's huge. That's a
Yeah.
huge difference.
It's massive. It really highlights.
It's going to make you stop and think, right?
Yeah. It makes you really think about the value of innovation
For sure.
because it's not just some like fluffy concept,
Right.
It actually translates into real tangible.
Real results.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
That's huge. And it makes you wonder, what are those top R&D companies doing differently? It can't just be about having bigger budgets, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's not just about throwing money at the problem.
Right. It's about the culture, the environment they create around innovation.
Okay, so what kind of environment are we talking about here?
Think about it. You want a space where people feel comfortable experimenting, taking risks,
Yeah.
even failing sometimes,
Oh, interesting. So you're saying failure is not something to be avoided at all costs.
Exactly. It's all about how you view it, right?
Okay.
If you see failure as a learning opportunity, a chance to iterate, then it becomes less scary,
So it's like, fail fast, fail often. Is that what they say?
Well, it's not so much about failing often, but about failing forward.
Okay, I like that. Failing forward. What does that actually look like in practice?
So some companies, they actually build it into their process.
Wow, how so?
They have these dedicated times for what they call experimental sprints.
Okay, experimental sprints. I like the sound of that.
Right. And during these sprints,
Yeah.
the goal isn't about creating a perfect product or anything.
Right.
It's about exploring, testing out crazy ideas,
So it's like giving yourself permission to play around a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To experiment without the pressure of,
Right.
having to hit a home run every single time.
Yeah, because not every idea is going to be a winner.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. And this is where that whole nowist thing comes back in.
Oh, yeah. Right, Joi Ito.
Because if you're so busy trying to predict the future,
Mm-hmm.
you might miss those opportunities that come from just messing around in the present,
It's like they say, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Right?
Exactly. And sometimes those shots that seem the craziest,
Yeah.
those are the ones that lead to the biggest breakthroughs.
I feel like there's a balance, though, right? Like, you need that experimentation,
Oh, absolutely.
but you also need some kind of framework or
Structure.
structure. Yeah, otherwise it's just chaos.
You're absolutely right. It's not about just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Right.
You need some guiding principles, some sort of vision
Right.
to kind of channel that experimentation in the right direction.
Okay, so we're seeing some common threads here, right? We've got that nowist mindset.
Yes.
Being open to experimentation, embracing failure as a learning opportunity, and finding that balance between structure and flexibility.
Exactly. Those are some key ingredients for innovation, for sure.
And what I find so interesting is that this isn't just limited to, tech companies or big corporations.
Right.
These principles, they apply to anyone, really, right?
Absolutely. Artists, educators, entrepreneurs, anyone who wants to bring more innovation into their lives.
So how do we do that? How do we actually take these principles and apply them to our own lives?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't think there's one right answer,
Right.
but there are some practical steps we can take.
Okay, I'm all ears. Give us the goods. Okay, so less theory, more action. I like it. What are those steps? How do we actually become more nowist?
I think for me, it starts with uncertainty,
Okay.
like how we view uncertainty.
Right.
Instead of being afraid of it, what if we saw it as an opportunity?
Okay.
A chance to discover something new
Mm.
instead of getting stuck trying to control every little thing.
Right, because that's kind of impossible anyway.
It is. It really is, especially in this day and age, right?
Regularly.
So yeah, embracing that unknown, that's a big part of it.
Okay, but that's easier said than done, though, right?
Oh, tell me about it.
It's human nature to want to have a plan,
Yeah.
to want to know what's going to happen,
Yeah.
especially when it's something that matters to us.
Totally, totally.
So how do we actually get better at that? At being okay with not knowing?
Well, I think awareness is a good first step.
Yeah. Okay, what do you mean?
Just noticing those moments when we're getting caught up in trying to predict the future.
Oh, I see.
Or when we're trying to control things that are ultimately out of our control.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just being okay, this is happening,
Hmm.
Can't predict what's going to happen next.
Right.
And that's okay.
Instead of freaking out.
I would need to. Exactly. It's like hitting the pause button on that freak out
Yeah.
and choosing curiosity instead.
Okay. So instead of going into panic mode, we go into curiosity mode.
Yes. I love that. Curiosity mode.
What's the opportunity here?
Exactly. What can I learn from this? What are the possibilities?
Oh, I like that.
Because that opens you up,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that fear closes you down.
Exactly. Fear closes you down. Curiosity opens you up.
And then from that open place, you can start to experiment. Right.
Exactly. You can try things, test them out, see what works.
And not be afraid to, like, totally fail sometimes.
Well, not fail, but like you said earlier, fail forward.
Right, fail forward, exactly. Because even those so-called failures,
Yeah,
they're just giving us information,
exactly. They're giving us valuable feedback.
right? It's like, okay, that didn't work, but now I know this, and you move on.
Exactly. You learn, you adapt, you iterate, and you get closer to where you want to be.
It's like that whole idea of prototyping, right? Like
Exactly.
building something quickly, testing it out, getting feedback, and then refining it.
Exactly. And doing that over and over again.
Iterating, yeah, I feel like we keep coming back to that word.
It's so key, though, because innovation, it's not usually a straight line.
Right?
It's messy, it's iterative, and that's okay.
It's like embrace the mess.
Embrace the mess.
I love that. And the cool thing is this applies to so much more than just, inventing a new product or starting a business.
Oh, absolutely.
It's really a way of approaching life, isn't it?
It really is. It's a mindset.
Like being open to trying new things,
Yeah.
experimenting with different approaches.
Yes. And being present,
Being present, yeah, that's that nowist mindset again.
Exactly. Paying attention to what's happening right now, being open to the possibilities that are emerging.
I love it. This has been such a great conversation. I feel like we've covered so much ground today.
Me too. Me too.
So to kind of recap for everyone listening, it seems like the key takeaway here is that innovation, it's not just about having a brilliant idea.
No, it's so much more than that.
It's about cultivating a certain mindset, a way of being in the world that embraces uncertainty, experimentation, and continuous learning.
Couldn't said it better myself.
It's about being present, taking action, and being open to new possibilities.
Yes.
And that's something we can all do, no matter where we are in life. So, to our listeners, as you continue your own deep dive into the world of innovation, remember this. It's not about predicting the future, it's about creating it.
Yes.
And the best time to start building that future is now.
Right now.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me on this depth dive.
This was fun. Thanks for having me.